Boy, I don't know. I call to order this June 12th, 2024 meeting of the North Allegheny School Board. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will start with our calendar review. We had an executive session on June 10th to discuss personnel matters. We had an executive session before this meeting this evening to discuss safety matters. We do not have an executive session after the meeting this evening. After our combined meeting tonight, our next board meeting will be August 7th, and that will be a work session and special voting meeting that evening. We did not have any speakers pre-register to talk tonight. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on any voting items this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to the approval of our minutes. Ms. Hardy.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. This evening, the board has two items for board action to approve the minutes for the May 15th and the May 22nd board meetings, and I so move.
Second.
It says May 24th in the content. That threw me off a little bit, but yes, it's May 22nd, correct? Okay. Anyone have comments on the minutes? Seeing none, let's vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed and passes unanimously.
Moving on to the curriculum report. Ms. Hardy.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. This evening, there are 4 items for board consideration and 1 item for information only in the curriculum report. Board action items include approval of the novel Seen and Unseen, an affiliation agreement with Robert Morris University, the disposal of textbooks, and the approval of the SkillBridge agreement with AFJ ROTC. And I so move.
Do you have any comments on these items?
I do. Thank you, Mrs. Warner. The novel Seen and Unseen was on display here at CAO for members of the community to review for 30 days in compliance with Section 3 of Policy 108, adoption of textbooks and novels. On the textbooks being disposed of, these are textbooks the district will no longer be using after purchasing alternative or updated classroom resources as a result of our curriculum review processes. These textbooks have copyright dates between 1952 and 2016 and will be offered to used textbook vendors to see if they have any potential resale value and then donated or recycled as appropriate. Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Should I do the information only?
Sure, go ahead.
The information only item includes the details on 2 principal internship assignments in the district next school year. Thank you, Mrs. Warner.
Thank you. Are there any other board members who have comments on items in the curriculum report?
I so move.
Oh,
Second.
excellent. Seeing no further comments, we're ready for the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed, passes unanimously.
Next, Mr. Weniger with the finance report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. There are a lot of items in tonight's finance folder. There are 16 items for board action and 3 information-only items. The 16 items are the renewal of the district solicitor, the collection and payment of school real property taxes in installments, the homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution, the surety bond coverage, electronic signatures, election of a treasurer, temporary investment authorization, approval of depositories, Allegheny North Tax Collection Committee representative, budget and transfers, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board Statement number 54 resolution, student expenditures for April, the accounts payable list, the renewal of Omni Financial 403B services contract, budget transfers, the 24-25 general fund budget adoption, and the information-only items are the payroll payoff comparison, the ending cash balances for May 31, and the 23-24 May forecast, and I so move.
Second.
Any comments on the items in your folder, Mr. Weniger?
I do have a couple. So most of these are pretty benign, run-of-the-mill, just technical things. The big one is the final adoption of the 23-24 or 24-25 budget, excuse me. We have seen this, Mr. Hauser present this throughout the year. Nothing significant has changed with this budget. The couple highlights are this is adopting the elimination of the per capita tax, which we've discussed previously. Something else that's positive news is the homestead farmstead exclusion actually is increased by about $40. So those two items, the $20 per capita and the 40, so that's a $60 per household change, which again, when's the last time you saw government reduce taxes? So that's a nice pop here for families. And the overall budget, again, has not changed. We're still expecting a surplus of just around $1.1 million, which again is fantastic. There are risks and opportunities out there. Interest rates are obviously a huge one. The Mr. Hauser, help me out with the acronym. Yep, CLR, thank you, is the big one that's out there as the big risk. But all in all, things look very good for next year. So we just need to spend as little money as we can.
Any other comments on the finance report? I will just add thank you to Dr. Highland, Mr. Hauser, and Ms. Raygard, and the entire finance team for all their work on the budget. And I believe we're all very pleased to keeping the millage rate the same and having, all the good things that Mr. Weniger highlighted in the budget this year. Seeing no other comments, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Hardy?
I just wanted to comment, I need to recuse myself from item 13 due to my family getting a check from the district that month.
The vote is closed and passes unanimously with one abstention on number 13.
Ms. Hardy, would that be due to this common level ratio?
Yes.
Moving on to the Human Resources Report, Ms. Britton Dozier.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Today we have 18 items in the HR folder, which tops the finance folder by one, I might note. The items include the adoption of contract and appointment of school police officers, resignations and retirements, appointment of director of facilities, appointments, wage and status changes, leaves of absence, recognition for additional education, tuition reimbursement for additional education, honoraria and club activities, supplemental contracts, facilities consultant, administrative employee wages, confidential employee wages, paraprofessional employee wages, transportation department, bus driver and garage and mechanic wages, facilities department custodial and maintenance wages, the insurance renewal, and the renewal of paraprofessional memorandum of understanding.
Thank you, Ms. Britton Dozier. Do you have any comments?
I do. I have a few things that I'd like to note. Before we vote, I just want to respectfully remind any of our board members who may have to abstain regarding supplemental positions, just a friendly reminder. Item number 1, I have a comment The approval for the appointment of 6 candidates into the position of school police officers pending the completion of final requirements and in accordance with district school police template. The board was given an opportunity to and did participate in the interview process of these candidates. Secondly, in item number 2, there are several resignations and retirements, and we thank all of our employees for their service and work in the district. But I would like to mention the retirement of Mr. Bill Kirk as the Acting Director of Operations and Facilities, as he is present this evening. I've had the opportunity to work with and get to know Bill. It has always been a pleasure. His expertise and knowledge in his field is excellent and was of great value to our district and community. Bill, as you embark on this new chapter, may it be filled with the same enthusiasm and success that you've brought to our district and community. Congratulations to you on a well-deserved retirement. And item number 17, we have great news to share in that the workers' comp insurance contract with UPMC was renewed and has netted a cost savings of almost $19,500 as compared to last year. A big thank you to Ms. Tracy, Mr. Hauser, and their respective teams.
Any other comments on the human resources report?
I will second that, but I don't think the motion was made.
No, I haven't made a motion yet. And I so move.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I'll also make a comment in that I do need to recuse myself from the supplementals for my wife's supplemental.
And yeah, and I also need to recuse myself as well.
Is there anyone left?
I can fit.
Did you say you had a comment, Mr. McClure?
Actually, that was the
That was
comment,
the
the
comment?
recusal, but I'll be glad to say goodbye to Mr. Kirk, although I know we'll continue to work with him. And looking forward to hiring his replacement this evening. So
I cannot say I'm glad to say goodbye to Mr. Kirk. I can echo everything Ms. Britton Dozier said. It has been a pleasure to work with you, Bill. So impressed, and I really appreciated, the time you took to explain things to me, the special tour of the auditorium you gave me, and just your knowledge and the great way in which you communicate with people has just been so appreciated. And I will use that to transition to, we are very excited this evening to have Mr. Chabala here. And I want to say that your interviews were so impressive, and I've sat in on many interviews, and you were one of the most well-prepared to come in. And the way you knew our mission statement, you had visited our buildings, I was so impressed. And I am looking forward to the vote this evening.
I have to throw in a few words about Mr. Kirk. Next year, I'll be starting my 34th year in education. And I have had the honor of working with a number of wonderful professionals. I will say that I have not worked with a finer professional than Mr. Kirk. I have never encountered someone that always has the answer. Not only does he always have the answer, he delivers it in a way that even I can understand, and everyone else around him can understand it. And he's so diplomatic and he's so professional. He is going to be a tremendous loss to this district. And I can't thank him enough for the transition in my first year as superintendent. I could not have asked for a better director of facilities. Mr. Chabola, you have big shoes to fill, but I know that guy will be in this community to be here to assist you and help you. And please pay attention and call him because he knows what he's talking about. Thank you for everything, Bill.
Seeing no other comments, let's vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed and passes unanimously with the 3 abstentions on number 10, supplementals.
Before we move on to our next item, I do have one other person I want to recognize. We are very excited to approve a new NAI band director this evening and marching band director, Emily Rickard, and we are very excited to have you here in the audience this evening. And I do have a child in the marching band, and so I'm very excited to have you here, and I'm excited to have Mr. Krause and Mr. Tozier and Mrs. Lavelle here also to have like the support of the entire music department here, I think is wonderful. And I would like to give the opportunity to either you or Mr. Chavala, if you would like to come to the microphone and say a few words if you're interested.
You learned the band always goes first.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I just want to say to all of you and to the North Allegheny administration, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I am very excited to get to work here. So I appreciate all of the support and thank you all so much.
I just want to say thank you to all, to everyone here. I'm really excited to start my career here, and I'm excited to be hopefully retiring from here like Mr. Kirk is. Mr. Kirk, congratulations on your retirement. I haven't had the opportunity to know you as long as everyone else here has, but when I have gotten to know you, they're speaking what I've noticed. You're very impressive, and I do have some really big shoes to fill. So I'm going to do the best I can. I won't let you down. Looking forward to working with everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you both. And now we will move on to our property and supplies report. Mr. McClure.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. We have 5 items for consideration this evening. The first being the approval of the fee waiver status for 24-25 school year. Second, the approval of fee schedule for building rentals. The third, the acceptance of the confirmation agreements for the purchase and delivery of natural gas. Fourth, a non-binding letter of intent between the North Allegheny School District and BAI Group, LLC, for a power purchase agreement for solar power. And the fifth, a temporary construction area storage agreement. And I move all 5.
Second. Any comments?
Of course. Just FYI, fee waivers, these have been discussed in the past. Did reconcile this with prior years. It's basically the exact same list with a few that have actually dropped off from last year. Our fee schedule for building rental is a mirror of last year also. The natural gas, I think I commented last month that we were pushing this off a month, waiting for prices to drop. They're still not where we want them to be. So this is a 4-month agreement that takes us September through December when our broker thinks that rates will be dropping. The letter of intent for the solar power, I did ask Mr. Kirk to maybe comment on this evening and give us a perspective of where that is and where this is going.
Remote people. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, I don't know much about microphones, but I'm pretty good at solar. This letter of intent is an attempt to understand some of the issues related to developing a solar project at the Franklin Elementary School. The goal there is to utilize some unused roof space and unused hillside to have a developer install solar panels and return power to the district at a lower rate than we currently purchased. It will give us a lower cost electricity and a more reliable price for that electricity over the decades ahead of us. The goal here, and their lofty goals, is that the district would have no money out of pocket. that we would be net positive day one with the solar power being less expensive than our current rates. And based on a 1.5% annual escalator in price, we estimate that we could potentially save nearly $1 million over the term of the contract. We're not there yet. These are lofty goals. We hope that by the contractor undertaking this due diligence, we can tighten this agreement up and we can bring this to fruition. It will ultimately supply on the initial phase here, almost 75% of the power, annual power that Franklin Elementary School uses. Through net metering, we will combine it with the Inglemoor Middle School as well, so that future roof projects could be expanded and added on to the system. So it's a very forward-looking plan. It's one that's attempting to take advantage of the recent legislation, the Inflation Reduction Act, which boosted solar subsidies significantly. And so we're trying to be the first school district on the block to take advantage of that. So appreciate your support in this effort. Thanks, Mr. McClure.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. Last item is temporary construction storage area at one corner of the parking lot of McKnight while there's some work going on Cumberland Road. And that's it.
Any other comments? Ms. Britton Dozier.
Thank you. I have a question for either Mr. McClure or Mr. Kirk. The BAI arrangement, what specifically are they doing now? Or are they not doing anything until we actually sign an agreement? That wasn't clear to me.
At this point, the only thing we've been doing with BAI is working to negotiate a power purchase agreement. A number of site issues came up that were problematic for the negotiations. And so by entering into this letter of intent, which is non-binding, but provides them with an exclusive 180-day opportunity to resolve those unknown issues, then we can maybe move forward with an agreeable power purchase agreement.
Okay, so the terms of this agreement will not necessarily land in the final contract?
They will not.
Okay.
We've been clear about that.
Okay.
That's
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Weniger.
And in that same vein, I know Mr. Kirk has been working on this for 10 months, a year. I mean, it's a long time. And I think the point to hit home is the zero cost to the district. I think one of the sticking points, and we're trying to figure out what this LOI is, there's one is just the transaction of buying the power, and they'll supply the panels, but there's a ton of infrastructure costs that like we have to buy new transfer switches, new switchgear has to be installed. There's tons of electrical work. Like there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of money that has to be spent just to connect those panels into our existing system. And that's who's paying for that part. And so I think thus far they're saying they're not going to pay for it. And I think Mr. Kirk is saying, well, why would we pay? So that's what is some of the murkiness here as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the clarification. Any more comments or questions on this report? Seeing none, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open.
Ms. Weidman, can you record a voice vote for me? My computer has been updating for the last 15 minutes. I vote aye.
Received. Thank you. The vote has closed and passes unanimously.
We will move on to Dr. Gibbs and the Student Services Report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. There are 8 items in the Student Services Report for board action and 1 item for information only. First, there's the School Psychology Doctoral Internship Contract with Alfred University. Second is an affiliation agreement with Youngstown State University. Third is a memorandum of agreement with Youngstown State University. Fourth is a district physician agreement. Fifth is a leader services service agreement. Sixth is a services agreement with the day school. Seventh is a services agreement between North Allegheny School District and Glade Run Lutheran Services. And then 8th is a services agreement between North Allegheny School District and Glade Run DBA St. Stephen's. So those are the 8 items for board action. There's one information-only item, which is that 12 students will be attending the extended school year at Watson Education Center, Sewickley, from July 10th through July 26th.
Would you like to move your items, Dr. Gibbs?
Yes, I move them for action.
I'll second.
Dr. Gibbs, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open. Glad to see you back online, Dr. Simkoviak. The vote is closed and passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to the school board report. Mrs. Blackburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I'd like to make a motion to approve the PSBA voting delegate for the 2024 delegate assembly meeting in Mechanicsburg, and it will be to approve you, Mrs. Warner. I move.
Second.
Any comments? I will just say I will be attending virtually. I will not be going to Mechanicsburg for this. And seeing no other comments, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed and passes unanimously.
Moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Highland.
Mrs. Warner, thank you. I have one item for board consideration tonight, and that is the professional seminars and professional development. And I have 2 items for information only that I'll share after the vote.
I'll move those items.
I'll second.
Any comments on the voting item? Seeing none, we're ready for the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed and passes unanimously.
The 2 informational items, the first is a letter of eligibility program mentorship. I was asked by the University of Pittsburgh to take on an intern this summer, so we will be doing that, trying to give back to the profession. And the second one is a transportation update. As the board knows, in the beginning of the year, we had some transportation challenges. First off, I'd like to thank the board for allowing our team to put forward the necessary resources that we needed to address those challenges. So again, I want to publicly thank the board for allowing us to get the right people in the right spots on the bus, no pun intended. And now it's our turn to make sure that we get the job done with the resources that you have provided. And one of the things that we did with those challenges is that we asked our parents what we needed to do better, and they provided a significant amount of feedback. And one of the things that they shared with us was the amount of time that our students were spending on the bus. And so I know Mr. Mergen and his team is working extremely hard to make sure that we are trying to address that issue. And we want to begin to communicate with parents. What do they say? You can't over communicate. So we are going to communicate with parents. And I want to share with the board the communication that's going to go out to families so that they know some of the changes that will be coming, and also have an opportunity to email about particular questions should they have them. So the communication that's going to go out tomorrow is: Dear North Allegheny families, the North Allegheny School Transportation Team is ready to inform you about important updates regarding our transportation services as we prepare for the upcoming 24-25 school year, as shared at last evening's school board meeting. These changes are a direct result of your feedback garnered from the transportation survey that was given last September and lessons learned from the challenges at the start of last year. Our goal is to enhance efficiency, ensure safety, and minimize the time spent on buses while following Board Policy 810. After thoroughly evaluating the current bus routes and stops, we have decided to consolidate several bus stops. These revisions will reduce travel time for many students and provide a more reliable transportation experience throughout the district. Our team fully understands that these changes may impact some families. However, please rest assured that we have considered multiple factors, including the distance to stops, walking routes, and safety considerations. The team's commitment to the safety and well-being of our students has guided our planning of these changes to minimize any concerns you may have. Once the details are finalized, we will share further information about the revised bus routes and consolidated stops. You will receive an email to notify you that busing information is available in your student's PowerSchool account. Our transportation team is here to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have about these changes, and you can reach them at transportation@northallegheny.org. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation as we endeavor to improve our transportation services for the benefit of all our students. Thank you for your continued support. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure, I'm sure when parents get this, they're going to have questions about the particular items about their student. And so we wanted to reach out, put the email out there and let them know. But we also wanted to foreshadow that we are going to start to shrink the number of stops that we have. And so we will continue to communicate those updates. And I also want to give Mr. Mergen an opportunity to share anything that he would like about the progress that he's made on this. And also if the board has any questions with Mr. Mergen, they can ask him.
Thank you. I did want to share that we have done all of the elementary routes in the district and kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how many bus stops were eliminated. And our average has been about 15% throughout all of the elementary schools. Some were more than others. I think the lowest percentage was around 10% and the highest school was around 19%. And that is because we did base the elimination of bus stops based on safety. Some stops just could not be eliminated. So naturally there were lower percentages in those areas. Along with that, we're trying to make more efficient bus routes and if possible, lower the number of buses required to service each school. And I do have numbers for the elementary schools as well. Between the 7 elementary schools, we have reduced the number of buses required to do that by 8 so far. We're currently working on the middle schools. And so far, we've reduced the number at Carson by 4 buses, and we still need to do the other 2 middle schools. So we are hoping to reduce the number of buses required, and by doing so, we should be able to bring some of the contracted work that is done outside the district back in-house to try to get our budget in line.
And one last thing, the board will get a presentation before the start of the school year at the beginning meeting in August so that they know exactly what the plan has been, what's been accomplished over the summer. So hopefully the information that we give to the public kind of gives them a morsel that we're looking to make those changes and we're well on our way to do that. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Mrs. Warner.
Thank you, Dr. Highland. Does anyone have any comments on the transportation item or any of the information items? Mr. Weniger.
My son rides bus 93. Do you know how, I'm just joking.
Ms. Hardy?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Highland for sharing that communication. I really appreciate the tone and how we're proactively reaching out to families to let them know about this change. And I wanted to thank Mr. Mergen and his entire team for their diligence and hard work and looking at this really with fresh eyes. Very impressive sounding results so far. I really appreciate it. Wondering, when do you anticipate letting families know what their bus, giving them the bus information for next school year? Does that happen in early August or mid or?
In my experience, I like to have that information out the very beginning of August. So I'm not sure what day will be August 1st. If it's a Monday or a Wednesday or something, yes, but if August 1st falls on a weekend, we'll do it on the first workday of the week.
Fabulous. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Merkin.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
No, I think want to highlight something too. You said, so you're looking, you could potentially reduce the number of buses being utilized by 8. Was that the number you said?
Yes, by 8 at the elementary schools.
So that obviously then has an impact on the number of drivers that we would need.
It could mean that. However, I don't want to reduce the number of drivers that we have. I would rather bring some of the work that we're paying a higher premium for back in-house.
So and that's, I'm leading the witness here. So bringing this work and being able to free up some more resources and then bring this stuff back in-house. I mean, Kermit, refresh but I think it's in the range of $100,000 to $200,000. I think that we overran this year's budget with outsourcing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, but by more than that. I don't
More
know
than
the
that?
exact number, but it's
So
more than that.
It's very significant
It's very
dollars
significant dollars.
that this could have an impact
Yes.
to the positive for next year. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Ms. Blackburn?
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I'll also say there's, to me, a safety aspect that goes with it too. I like our children being driven by our drivers who we've hired, who we know, who we've done background checks, who we've done everything. So I'm thrilled over this. And when I say our children, even the children who choose to go to a different school, they're still our North Allegheny residents and our children. So I'm thrilled if you can bring some of that in-house, not just for the dollar amount, which of course I'm thrilled over, but also I see other benefits too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would also like to express my thanks to Dr. Highland and Mr. Mergen, and I'm excited that this communication is going out tomorrow. I suspect this is a relatively slow time of year for you, maybe, it'll be a better time to handle those kinds of concerns than maybe as in August and when students are on the bus. Or maybe it's not, it's still a busy time, but
It's always busy.
This gives more time to resolve any safety concerns from parents about because I'm sure there are absolutely stops that we can't eliminate for safety concerns. And I imagine those families are going to be the ones who are most concerned. And like a great bonus to have our students spending less time on the bus and save us money. And I have only heard great things about the improvements to our transportation department over the year. And so I'm really excited about the progress that has been made this year and that we are moving forward with this. And I frankly look forward to my children's bus stop being farther away. There is no reason for it to stop 3 times on the street right by my house. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you. And now we move on to speakers on, oh, no, my apologies. We move on to special reports by the board. First, legal counsel.
We will be submitting a report electronically. Excuse me, I'd like to take a moment to thank the board for our reappointment and having confidence on our firm. We think the North Allegheny School District is a special school district. Again, thank you.
Thank you. We agree. We also believe it's a special school district. Dr. Simkoviak with the Citizens Advisory Committee report and the North Allegheny Foundation report.
The Citizens Advisory Committee has concluded meetings for the school year. Over the summer, we will be submitting a call for applications for interested individuals to join the CAC. The North Allegheny Foundation had conducted its Taste of NA event, which was extremely successful. I wanted to thank Alice Beck-Numberger for serving as the chair of the NA Foundation board for this past year. She's done a fantastic job, and I'm excited she will continue to stay on with the foundation. I would like to welcome Mr. Joe Biley as the new chair of the NA Foundation board.
Thank you. For the A.W. Beatty Career Center report and the legislative report, Mrs. Blackburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. For the A.W. Beatty Career Center, we approved all of our course programs for the upcoming year, and there are many of them, both in AM and PM, so everyone can see all of those and decide whether you are going to attend the various courses. They're all wonderful. We also approved the continuation of various employees, the programs and employees, and the employees would be things like the school nurse and the police officer and different things like that. So that's what we did at our last meeting. Probably the biggest news was we held graduation. And it was a wonderful event held at Margarelli Stadium. Both Dr. Highland, Mrs. Warner, and I attended. And it's always great to see all of the students graduating and receiving so many honors and so many scholarships. And it was a nice night for us. So congratulations to everyone. Legislatively, there was a lot of different bills that they're looking at. Most of them were various things with medical things. So they're thinking about requiring AEDs, automated external defibrillators, to be at interscholastic events. This has not passed both the House and the Senate yet. It's a bill. So when it passes, we'll let you know. The bill that passed the House was having all school nurses and professional employees to complete training on knowing signs and symptoms of seizures. Another bill was ensuring that life-saving asthma medications are available. So a lot of different medical things we're looking at, and needless to say, I would say all of them are a good idea. So we'll see if everything becomes law, but that's what we're looking at for now. Thank you very much. That concludes my reports.
Thank you, Mrs. Blackburn. We move on to speakers on non-voting items. No one has pre-registered to speak this evening. Does anyone in the audience wish to come to the podium for up to 2 minutes? Seeing none, we move on to closing items. Does anyone have any announcements or reminders? Ms. Hardy.
I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on the fabulous school year that we've had and thank the full administration team here in the boardroom this evening for all of their work. It was just a wonderful school year from the start to the end. I appreciate all of everything you put into making that happen and looking forward to next year. Thank you, Mrs. Warner.
Thank you, Ms. Hardy. Seeing no other comments, I adjourn this meeting.